was just enjoying a really interesting story. I'm Mr. Nikolai, and welcome to this week's visual art tutorial. Now, previously, I encouraged you to engage in a little bit of research with your families. Do you remember what artist you learned about? That's right, we learned about Mr. Keith Haring. And specifically, we learned about what kind of an artist he was, how did he draw, and what did he do, and how was his art style different to those of other artists. So let's review a few facts about Mr. Keith Haring and his drawing style. So what are some of the first things you noticed about the way Mr. Keith Haring draws? Look at this picture and let's have a think about it. What's the first thing you notice? The first thing I noticed is that Mr. Keith Haring used thick, bold and black lines to draw. He drew the outline of shapes. And obviously you can see by this beautiful picture that he drew bodies of people moving, playing and doing joyful and fun things. He drew because he was inspired by the cartoon drawing style. As a young boy, he watched a lot of cartoons and he remembers all those black outlines that the cartoon characters used to have. So that became a very big part of Mr. Keith Haring's future when he grew up, which led him to create amazing artworks as you can see in this picture. What are some other things you notice about the artwork? So we've already talked about he drew black outlines of shapes and bodies and other things. But what else do you notice? Let's have a look at another picture. Oh, there's Mr. Keith Haring. What is he doing? Where is he? That's right, he's drawing in the subway walls. Now, back in those days, it was called illegal graffiti. You were not allowed to draw anywhere in public places. But Mr. Keith Haring felt it was very important to express himself and to bring a little joy in people's hearts. During their hard working day, people are walking in the subway and it's very closed and dark. So he wanted to put some artwork there so people could enjoy. And he did this for free. If he saw a little bit of blank space, he would pick up his chalk from his pocket, approach the wall and start drawing. In a matter of few minutes, Mr. Keith Haring drew an amazing picture, and it had a very important message. There were no words, there were no titles, just an image. And you could look at a picture and you could connect it to yourself and think about, wow, I really know what Mr. Keith Haring is trying to say. As days went by, more people noticed Keith Haring's artworks on the walls in many, many different places, not just in the subway, but he targeted subways the most. Now, what else can we notice about Mr. Keith Haring's work? As you can see in this picture, definitely he used color, but the way he colored his subject and his background, he used very, very clean, beautiful colors. There were no itchy, scratchy lines. It was a beautifully nice, filled-in image, and he used primary colors. Sometimes he used many different types of colors, but in this picture, you can see 3 colors. Red works very good with yellow and contrasts very good with blue. And in this case, he used some lighter shades. But look more carefully in the image. What else do you notice? There are some lines moving around the body. What do you think they do? They are called movement lines. You don't see movement lines around my head when I'm moving it, or you don't see movement lines around my mouth when I'm talking. You can see some lines on my forehead, but those are called wrinkles. Don't make fun of my wrinkles. You're all going to have them one day. But my wrinkles help me think. But Mr. Keith Haring, he didn't draw wrinkles around his subjects and his body shapes. They're called movement lines. They make you think that the person is moving or swinging his arms and legs or jumping and playing. In this picture, we can see the person is kicking a ball. What's another thing you notice? Are there any facial features? Do you see the clothes? No. Mr. Keith Haring did not draw eyes, mouth, nose, because he didn't think they were so important to show and express the meaning of his artwork. He just used the body position, or we say body pose, to communicate some sense of joy in an image. Let's have a look at another picture and see what else do we notice. In this picture, you can see lots of beautifully ways Mr. Keith Haring colored his artwork. He made them look like postcard size. And sometimes he drew them really, really large. So he worked small scale and very, very large drawings as well. Wow, look at this image. It is so big. Look how small people are far in the background. You can see them standing right over there. So this tells us that Mr. Keith Haring made large scale artworks, and this is called mural drawings. When people draw on the walls, they're called mural art, and people are also referred to as muralists. I'm a little bit of a muralist myself. I love drawing on walls, and I've tried to engage a few projects at Dwight School, and at the moment, as you can see in front of the art room, there's a wall mural going on. It's a community project. But let's have a look at Mr. Keith's artwork. What do we notice in the next picture? There's Mr. Keith Haring, very, very busy. He looks very tired, but he's enjoying his artwork a lot. He's got really painted and textured pants that he's wearing. But you can see on the wall behind him, he painted and drew beautiful pictures that have very bright and happy colors. And when people walk by into shops and in subways or outside, they see those artwork and it makes them feel very happy. So Mr. Keith Haring wanted to make people feel happy. Something else you might notice in Mr. Keith Haring's artwork is he drew lots of lines inside shapes and outside the shapes to create some sort of patterns. So he loved drawing patterns. As you can see in this picture, he filled up lots of patterns everywhere, but not all the time. In most of his artwork, he will draw a few patterns just to fill up some spaces. In this next picture, we notice that Mr. Keith Haring also created sculptures. He created sculptures the same way he drew those body-shaped outlines, and those sculptures were given to hospitals to make children happy and put in the playgrounds. So when children go to the playground, they see a body that Mr. Keith Haring drew, they want to touch it and see all the beautiful lines and the textures and the drawings, and they could play on it. So Mr. Keith Haring really wanted to inspire and make artwork for the people and for the children. Today, I'm going to teach you how to draw in the style of Mr. Keith Haring. But a lot of people are wondering first, where does Mr. Keith Haring come from? Alright, so let's have a look and see where is New York in the world. So first we're going to zoom out the map and see exactly where it is. So this little red eyedropper shows you where New York is. There is United States, and we can see New York is right on the east side of the United States. Now let's zoom in. Okay, we can see it much closer. Now there we go. Who has been to New York? But if you have visited New York, then you're very, very fortunate and very, very lucky. So there's New York, and this is where Mr. Keith Haring is from. Boys and girls, are you ready? Before we start, I want you to get some piece of paper, a blank piece of paper or a sketchbook, whatever you like. Find some markers. We need something that can make a black outline. It can be a black pencil or a black pen or something that's dark. So prepare those materials first. Now prepare 2 or 3 colors that are different from each other. So don't pick blue, light blue and purple. They are too close to each other. Pick opposite colors that you know from the color wheel, such as yellow or red or green. They're very, very opposite each other. So pick 3 colors that are different from each other. So we got some paper, we got a black outline marker or a pencil or a pen, and we have some colors. Now I'm going to turn on my whiteboard and show you exactly how to create a really, really good Keith Haring style drawing with very, very little effort. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is pick up our black outliner. All right, and what Mr. Keith Haring did first was he creates and draws a frame, just as I'm going to try now. So around your image, make a frame. So leave like a centimeter gap, just like this. It's okay if the frame is a little bit wobbly, but that's the whole point, is it does not have to be a superbly straight line. It can be a little wobbly. just like that. Now, once you have done the frame, you start drawing an outline of a body shape of your choice. You can think about a jumping position or a flying position, or maybe a back bridge position. So I'm going to try that one. I'm going to draw it so it looks like this person has done a back flip bridge. So I'm going to draw hands. It's very, very simple, like that. And then whoop, a bend like that. There's one leg. And here comes his body. Now here comes the head. Just like that. And then the other arm. There. And now I have to draw the other leg, which will just show up here. And just like that, I drew a body pose of a person doing a back bridge. Now the next thing I'm going to draw is put a background. So that's just simply drawing a horizon behind the body shape, just like that. Now the next thing I'm going to draw is add some movement lines around the body to make it look like this person is moving and not staying still, even though they've done a bridge with their body. So a few movement lines around, just like that. Now you can see that those movement lines already look so good and give you the impression that this person is shaking or about to fall down or about to collapse or is going to lift themselves forward. So there's some movement happening. The next thing is, in the background on the floor or outside, I'm going to add some patterns or lines. So I think I will choose the floor. So I'm just going to draw very, very simple lines. So it looks like gravel or grass. But I don't want it to interfere with the movement lines. So I'm just going to go around like this. It's very, very easy to draw. So like we said, let's get that black outline marker or pen or pencil, and let's just start drawing directly the outline of the picture we want. And remember, Mr. Keith Haring, when he draws, he doesn't stop or think or plan. He just takes out his tool and starts drawing. There's no thinking, there's no planning. He just starts drawing, but he does the same steps where he starts with a frame and then does the body shape and the patterns. I've got my patterns there on the floor. That looks really great. Now, what's the next step? The next step is we're going to add some color. Okay, so now I'm going to use my color tool. I'm going to just pick a color here as I'm using a different sort of digital whiteboard. I can choose my colors a little more differently. So let's make the body sort of like a yellow color here. So I'm gonna start coloring the body. I think I need to make my brush a little bit bigger too. Okay, let's make the brush bigger. Here we go. So let's make this body look nice and yellow. Okay, now remember, you need to try to fill in the spaces really well. If I do it like this, it doesn't really look like it's finished. So make sure that you fill in those areas as nice as you can. So there's no white gaps showing. Now, it is a lot easier to do it this way because I'm using a digital coloring tool just for the purpose of the tutorial, but normally I would do it on paper, but it's a little bit difficult to record that. Okay, so there we go. Now I've got my body filled in completely. There's a little bit of white gap there. So now I'm going to think about what color goes well with yellow. I'm going to do that in the background. I might choose, let's say a pinkish color. That one looks nice. See, I can see here pink and yellow look great together. So that is a good choice. However, if you're looking at color pencils and markers, you can just combine them in front of you and see how they look nice together. So let's do that. Now here we go. It's time to color in that background. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger here. Oops, I went over the edge there. I'll probably go back and fix that later. Now I'm just going to have to reduce my brush size down. But I'm just doing this on the digital drawing app just to show you how to do it, but I would like you to do this on paper, not on the screen. Okay, this is a art drawing challenge, and we need to try to not always be on the screen so much, because sometimes that hurts our eyes and makes us really tired. So always remember, the best way to create art is by hands, off the screen. Right, now you can see here I wasn't very careful, so I went over the line, but it's okay if you go over the line a little bit. So now I can see that yellow and pink really look great together. Okay, I'm almost done with my background, and there we go. Oh, no we're not. See, cover this, cover that, cover that, cover this little dot there, and now it is filled. Beautiful. Now let's see, yellow, pink, what should my background be down here? Let's go and choose. I'm thinking of a light blue. That would look really nice because it would work really well with that yellow. So let's pick a sort of light blue, just like that. Look at that. See, 3 simple colors. I could have chosen green, but I just thought blue would be nice. And it doesn't have to be blue in the sky all the time. You can put that color wherever you like, as long as you fill in that drawing nice and neat. Remember, it's all about coloring. It's just like a coloring book. Here's a shape, fill it up with color as much as you can, and try to get rid of any white spaces. Now, in art, in some types of art, white spaces are good, but in Keith Haring's style, white spaces should be covered if you're going to color the whole picture in color. And there you go. I have just finished my Keith Haring style drawing. I hope you learned something very useful. I would like you to try by yourself. And that, my friends, is how we make drawings in the style of Keith Haring. What I would like you to do is try and create one yourself. Don't forget, the background and the shapes have to fully be colored, right? Thick black outlines, movement lines, and maybe some patterns in some spaces. I look forward to seeing your work. Happy learning, and don't give up.